Ladies and gentlemen, there is a rhythm beneath life's surface, a deep drumbeat that calls not to the ease of the day, but to the storms that darken our skies. That rhythm, that heartbeat is struggle. And if you have not met her yet, wait, she wears no mask. She knocks on every door. Struggle is a sculptor. She does not come bearing flowers or soft songs, but she arrives with tools in hand, chisel and hammer, ready to carve. You may not know her when she first approaches. She might come disguised as loss, as rejection, as failure so fierce it leaves you gasping. But soon you realize she is not here to destroy. She is here to shape. There is something sacred in being shaped by adversity. The fire does not ask the metal for permission. The storm does not ask the tree if it is ready and struggle. She does not wait for our convenience. She shows up when she will. She demands attention. She makes her presence known. But oh, the work she does. With each blow, she chips away the parts of us that do not serve our becoming. She removes illusions, trims ego, and clears space for something truer to rise. In the heat of hardship, it feels like breaking. But what is breaking really, if not the opening of space for something greater? The sculptor does not destroy the marble. She reveals the form that lives within. Likewise, struggle reveals the strength that lives within us, not built by comfort, not born of applause, but forged in the silence, the grit, the darkness where we faced ourselves with no witness. Strength, true strength, does not come from ease. It comes from that moment when you are too tired to try again, but you do. It comes from the night you sat on the floor with your hands in your lap and your heart in pieces, and you breathed. That breath was a declaration. That breath was resilience. And that is how struggle shapes us. There is beauty in that process, though it rarely feels beautiful in the moment. It is hard to see the masterpiece when all you know is the hammer's weight, but every blow counts. Every setback matters. Nothing is wasted in the hands of a sculptor. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the closed doors, the unpaid bills, the lonely days, they are not just pain. They are process. They are the curve of your character, the deepening of your compassion, the chiseling of your courage. Look at your scars, not with shame, but with reverence. They are not signs of weakness. They are the strokes of the sculptor's hand. You survived what was meant to break you. You are the shape that rose out of the wreckage. You are the strength that stayed when everything else left. And don't think for a moment that the process is ever neat. No, struggle is messy. She does not work in straight lines or clean cuts. She pushes, she pulls. She asks you to stand in the fire without knowing when it will end. But slowly, surely you change. You grow calluses in the places that used to ache. You find your voice in the echo of silence. You find your worth not in what the world gave you, but in what it could never take from you. You learn to hold yourself, to carry your story without apology, to walk into rooms with the posture of someone who has been carved by truth. You stop fearing the storm because you remember that the storm is how the sky clears, how the land is watered, how life begins again. What struggle sculpts is not just strength, it is integrity, it is depth, She teaches you what no textbook ever could. How to stay when you want to run, how to speak when your voice shakes, how to believe when everything in you doubts. And in doing so, she brings forth a version of you that is more honest, more fierce, more alive. Think of the people who inspire you, not for their titles or trophies, but for their truth. The ones who have known pain and did not become bitter. The ones who have fallen and did not stay down. The ones who have faced struggle and instead of hardening, became wise. That is the work of the sculptor. That is what struggle does. And so the next time hardship comes, and she will, you need not welcome her, but you need not fear her either. Remember, she is not your enemy. She is the artist that life sends when it's time to grow. And if you let her, if you trust her, if you keep showing up through the blows and the burn, one day you will see what she was shaping all along. A strength you didn't know you had, a beauty deeper than charm, a power rooted not in perfection but in persistence, dying as a professor. Not the kind that speaks from a lectern with polished notes and perfect grammar, but one who teaches in the wild, in the heart, in the very marrow of your living. Pain does not wear a robe or carry a degree, but her lessons are etched deeper than any textbook could ever go. She teaches without warning. Her classroom is wherever life breaks, on hospital beds and empty kitchens at the bottom of a voicemail that never comes. When pain arrives, she does not knock. She simply enters. And the first thing you feel is the silence after impact, the air knocked out of your chest, the questions that have no answers. You ask, why me? You ask, when will it end? But pain rarely answers in words. She speaks in time, in patience, in long nights and hard mornings. Her lessons are not always clear in the beginning. Sometimes you don't even know you're learning until years later, when your tears have dried and your strength stands tall, like a tree grown through fire. Pain has a way of slowing everything down. The world keeps spinning, but you're caught in the ache, stuck in the loop of what was lost or what never came. It feels like punishment. It feels like abandonment. But pain is not here to hurt you for hurt's sake. She is here to reveal, to show you who you are when the masks fall away, when the titles don't matter, when the noise goes quiet and the only voice left is your own. She asks the hard questions. Who are you without your job, your status, your relationships? Who are you when you're not being praised? Who are you when you've been left behind? These are not easy lessons, but oh, how necessary they are. Because beneath all the roles you play, beneath all the stories you tell, there is a truth that only pain can uncover. It is the truth of your essence, the core of you that cannot be taken, even when everything else is. Pain teaches empathy. There is no better instructor. Once you've been cracked open, you see others differently. You notice the tremble in someone's voice, the hesitation in their smile. You recognize the weight in their walk, the quiet in their eyes, because you've carried it too. You've been there in the silence, in the sorrow, and now you sit beside them not with pity but with presence. That is a gift pain gives you, the ability to love deeper, to hold space wider, to understand without needing all the details. She also teaches boundaries. You learn often the hard way what you can and cannot allow. The hands you once reached for might have pushed you away. The places you once ran to may have shut their doors. And in that emptiness, you learn the sound of your own survival. You learn to listen to your body, to trust your instincts, to say no when your soul whispers that something isn't right. Pain has a way of stripping the excess until only the necessary remains. In time, you begin to see her differently, not as the enemy, but as a force of transformation. You look back on moments you thought would kill you and realize they shaped you, they matured you. They introduced you to parts of yourself you would have never met otherwise. That broken heart, it taught you self-respect. That job you lost, it showed you what you really value. That grief that nearly drowned you, it revealed how deeply you could love. Pain is not fair. She does not follow logic. Some people get more than their share, and others walk lightly, untouched by the storms you've weathered. But comparison has no place in her classroom. She is not teaching fairness. She is teaching fortitude. And what you do with the pain you've been given, that is your responsibility. You can bury it, let it harden you, or you can turn it into wisdom, into compassion, into purpose. Some of the most powerful souls you'll ever meet are those who have walked through fire barefoot and came out with open arms. They didn't avoid pain, they befriended her. They let her do her work, as slow and brutal as it was. And because of that, they carry a light that cannot be faked. a strength that does not shout but steadies, a peace that is not shallow but rooted deep. So if you are in pain now, know this: you are not being punished, you are being prepared for what you may not yet see. But trust that nothing you feel is wasted. Every tear is a seed, every scar is a map. And one day you will look back and see how far you've come, not in spite of the pain, but because of what she taught you. She is a hard teacher, yes, but she is honest. She gives no easy answers, but she offers something better: clarity, integrity, a deeper love for life. And once you have learned her lessons, you will find that you do not fear pain as much. You will know that whatever comes, you have already met the professor and passed your hardest test. Rising is the testimony. It is the proof, the declaration, the undeniable evidence that though life may have thrown its heaviest stones, you are still here, breathing, standing, becoming. Rising is not always loud. It doesn't always come with fanfare or applause. Sometimes it is as quiet as opening your eyes after a sleepless night, as simple as putting one foot in front of the other, as small as choosing not to give up on yourself, even when no one else seems to believe. The beauty of rising lies not just in the act itself, but in what it represents. It is the answer to the question, will I ever make it through this? It is the proof that your pain was not the end of the story, that your struggle did not write your final chapter. Rising says, I have seen the bottom, and I chose not to stay there. And every time you rise, you rewrite what it means to survive. There are moments in life that knock the wind out of us, moments that leave us crumpled on the floor, betrayed, broken, forgotten. Rising from those places is not about pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's not about smiling through the tears or dressing up the wounds so the world can be comfortable. No, rising is about owning every bruise, every scar, every ache, and still refusing to be defined by them. It is standing up while still trembling. It is walking forward with a limp, with a tear-streaked face, with a heart that still stings. Because rising doesn't wait for perfect healing. It begins in the midst of the pain. When you rise, you do more than recover. You declare something sacred. You declare that you are not your failure. You are not your losses. You are not your depression, your anxiety, your grief. You are not what they said about you when they walked away. You are not what life tried to bury. You are the seed that grew anyway. You are the flame that kept burning in the dark. You are the prayer answered by your own persistence. People will often see your rising and assume it came easy. They'll admire your strength without knowing the nights you didn't sleep, the doubts that tried to drown you, the moments you wanted to quit. But you will know. You'll know the cost. You'll know how hard it was to keep showing up, to keep believing in something better, even when all you had was hope the size of a mustard seed. That is what makes your rising sacred. It wasn't handed to you. It was earned in silence, in solitude, and struggle. And once you rise, you carry with you a new kind of power. Not the power that intimidates, but the power that inspires. The power that says, if I can rise, so can you. You become a lighthouse for others lost in the storm. Your story becomes a map. Your wounds become wisdom, and your voice becomes a balm. You begin to see how your rising was never just for you. It was for everyone who would one day need the reminder that healing is possible, that strength is real, that rising